Hey everyone, and welcome back to Monifactory. So last episode we were working through the medium voltage chapter, and we crafted a lot more medium voltage machines up here in the new section of our base, just next to the control room. I did craft a fluid solidifier as well as a chemical bath between episodes, but pretty much everything else remains as it was, just a few aesthetic changes. I made the chemical bath in order to craft this large metal sheet from gregtech, which we have introduced into the block palette of the base, and we have it up here on the ceiling, so we have it on all the wings, and the center still remains this blue concrete. So as I'm filling in the rest of this, I also want to announce that TMGT, Threefold's modern gregtech, is now available for you guys to download, so check the link in the description for a link to the Modrinth page. It also now has support for GTNH as well, so I'm going to continue to support that mod pack. So if you guys are playing Modern or GTNH, then feel free to check out the resource pack. A lot of things have been reworked. So you will see some texture changes in the series here moving forward, as pretty much everything has been reworked, and some new textures have also been added. Yeah, I'm actually really proud of how these turned out, and they're much better over the originals. We even have some animated textures for things like the conveyor module, and I believe also the sensors have like changing lights on them as well. Very subtle, but I really like how it turned out. So I'll probably make another TMGT update video, but for now, check the description for a link to download and let me know what you guys think about some of the changes to TMGT. But for now, let's move on. So also in the last episode, we set up our very first chemical line. So we set up the production of polyethylene here, which is now full. I also did add a buffer for ethylene, which I forgot about. I think these two machines were right on top of each other. So I made sure to add a steel drum here to buffer the ethylene here as well. As you can see here, we're also making various item byproducts such as cobblestone, gravel, sand, glass, silicon, and then of course the sulfuric acid, oxygen, ethanol, biomass, ethylene, polyethylene. So with the item byproducts, I also want to add a storage bus to all the drawer controllers to give us access via our applied energistic system. So we're going to place a storage controller right there and link them all with the linking tool to the controller. And I also want to add the drawers on the backside as well, so I don't think I showed this off, but I also moved our phytogenic insulators over here, which are still farming us flowers for dye for the concrete to build the base. And then for the moment, still we're farming wood this way as well. So we are also going to go ahead and add these to the storage controller, which fortunately does have enough range here. And you guys were saying you can increase the range of the storage controller, which I didn't know about, but we don't really need to do it here. We also do want to make sure we lock the drawers. Excellent, so now all the drawers are locked. We just need our storage controller the storage bus on the storage controller. We're going to have this on bi-directional and high priority. And now we should see the 1665 biochaff in our AE system, which we do, perfect. Alright, so to be honest, it's been about 2 weeks since I recorded the last episode, so I'm a little bit out of sorts here in the world. I have been doing some aesthetic improvements, just here and there. I finished off these staircases and added a bit of a walkway on top of the machine stacks. But other than that, it's pretty much the same state we left it in. I have been doing a little bit more preparation though on the blast furnace situation. So you might remember that we crafted the shell for 4 more blast furnaces over here. We're going to begin today by hooking those up and getting them on passive. So right now we just have the 1 blast furnace, which has done a very respectable job of cooking up all of our EBF ingots. Lots of it I've already taken out of this output drawer, or barrel. I did craft a bunch of things to get us started here. So I made our very first medium voltage energy hatches. Since the existing EBF used to run on, well, it still does run on 2 LV energy hatches, which overclocks to medium voltage. But we can craft the medium voltage energy hatches right now, and that simplifies the setup a lot, since we are wall sharing these blast furnaces. So normally a blast furnace is 3x3, but you can cut out the middle slice, and you can share some of the coil blocks and also some of the machine casing this way. And this does mean that we have less room for things like the energy hatch, so we're going to place these in the bottom center. So we have machine controller, nice, it does form, machine controller in the front, energy hatch in the middle, and then maintenance hatch behind that. And we're going to do the same thing for each of these blast furnaces here. And then coils in the middle, and then we have input bus on the backside, muffler hatch which has to remain unobstructed, so we can't have anything above this block, and then output bus on the front side here. So now, obviously we have to feed all the energy hatches with power, so I've made some AX energetic alloy wire, which is the lossless MV wire. And I've also made an 8 amp energy converter, which we're going to place right here. That should automatically receive power from the conduit. And connect up all the cable, plug this in. And we shouldn't have any explosions, but we should have power. Yes, we do. We have power in all the energy hatches. So that's pretty much the easy part, right? Now we have to hook up the inputs and the outputs. And like I said, we want to have this on passive. I'm going to use that phrase a lot, passive, and it pretty much just means that we want our machines to run completely passively without having to actively craft or fill them in. That would be a disaster. Automation is really the name of the game here. So yeah, we want to have our resources, input resources automatically fed into the machine and have our blast furnaces run until a certain stock amount and then stop. And some of the conditions are going to change based on the material we're smelting, so it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but the rough layout should be more or less the same for each blast furnace array. And we're going to have way more than just 4 blast furnaces, don't worry. Pretty much all this wall is going to be filled with EBFs eventually. In fact, I think I might build another like 4 or maybe 8 this episode, we'll see. But we'll start with these 4 for now. So which materials do we want to send automatically and have on passive? Well, the answer to that is pretty much everything. So if we look at our quest book here, the first one I think was aluminium. It's probably over here somewhere next to the EBF. Yeah, here. So aluminium, we also want energetic alloy, we want vibrant alloy. So that'll be the first 3 that we set up. And then I think we also want our monocrystalline silicon Boules, which are over here. So yeah, that will be the first 4 blast furnaces that we have here. Okay, so after a little bit of time messing around here, I think I know what we're going to do. Plan A didn't really work out the way I wanted it to because, well, I don't know if it was gregtech or if it was Laser IO's fault, but essentially what happened is I wanted to have our laser nodes on the input buses, right? But if you have an input card or an item card on the same side as the input bus is pulling from, because these automatically pull from adjacent inventories, it will actually pull in the item card, which is no bueno. And that will cause some issues. So we basically need to have some buffers in between, unless you guys know of a more elegant solution. So we are going to have some barrels on the input buses. Again, I don't really know what's causing that, but if it's gregtech or if it's Laser IO's fault, but it's one of the two and we have to work around it. So instead we'll have our lasers in this configuration. So this one on the front here will be for the extraction. So all of the finished cooked ingots from the interface or from the EBFs, we want to send those back into the interface. So all we have to do is have some extraction cards on the output buses and then an insertion card on the interface here. I also made a card holder, which is very useful. Thanks for reminding me about that. And it allows you to stack the item cards. It's also much easier when you're inside the GUI here. It gives you access to your card holder. So now we have all the finished products going back into our interface. For the inputs, we need to set some filters though. So we want to link these 3 nodes together. And then we want to filter the west side. This one here is going to be our aluminium. So we want to request aluminium in the interface first of all. And then on the west side, we want, again, another item card. And this time we want a counting item filter. And that is so that we can set the exact amount. This is like a limited item filter from Laser or from Ender IO. And it allows you to specify that you only want to have 1 here at a time. Oh, nice. I've done the maintenance as well, so it's good to see that turns on automatically. So it limits the amount it can send into the barrel to only keep 1. Since the other 4 stacks will be sent into the input bus, that will be pulled automatically from the barrel. So I believe all we need now is Skulk Superconductor Energy Conduit. I'm going to ignore that. We just need our item card here for extract. We'll set the transfer amount to 8, which is the max you can do without overclockers. And that should send our aluminium dust in here. And yeah, it does. It does limit it. I guess we'll have this on 8 so that it can send... Well... Nah, I mean, the recipe is slow enough. Although I guess for future... Yeah, maybe just to future-proof this, we'll set it to 8. Aluminium is basically free anyway, so we don't really need to worry about stocking too much in the input buffer. But for more expensive materials later on that are used elsewhere, we definitely want to make sure that we're more diligent with how much we have buffered in the EBF. But yeah, for aluminium, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that is now aluminium on passive, although there is a few more things we need to do with this. First of all, we have to limit the amount that it cooks because we don't want to cook all of our aluminium dust. Aluminium dust is also used in various other processes such as indium, such as magnesium. So we want to make sure that we have some stock of aluminium, but we also want to make sure that we can produce aluminium because we're eventually going to run out of aluminium dust. And the way that we're currently making aluminium is by macerating terracotta from the lost cities and then electrolyzing that clay dust. So I went ahead and set up some machines here since obviously if our blast furnaces are passive, we want our electrolysis of clay dust passive. So yeah, these machines here are pretty much the same as what we have on this side, making us oxygen. And you might be wondering why we have it twice. Wait a second, you know what? We actually have it 4 times because we're doing cobble to gravel, gravel to sand here. We're doing cobble to gravel, gravel to sand here. And we're doing cobble to gravel, gravel to sand here for oxygen, and we're doing cobble to gravel, gravel to sand here. So it's definitely not worth it, but I thought, you know what, that one is going to get moved, or those 2 for pulsating polymer clay are going to get moved and rearranged in the new base, multiple times probably. This one here for oxygen I don't really want to touch, even though we have our storage bus on it. We could have requested sand over there and then just made it into dust. But I don't really want to touch this system because oxygen is going to be used everywhere in the base moving forward. It's going to be a very important fluid or gas that we want to have a lot of. So I just decided to make it again. It's not really super expensive. So we're doing cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, sand to clay, clay into clay dust here, and then clay dust into our aluminium. And then we're going to do, since it has 4 outputs, we need to send this into something that can handle 4 outputs. We could have a 2x2 drawer, but instead we're going to have a drawer controller. And this way we can have 4 full drawers here, and we can just link this into the controller. And that will send all of its outputs into, the drawer network. We're also going to connect all these ones as well. And of course, lock the drawers. Perfect. We do also have to deal with the water that comes out of this as well, so that we don't stop the machine. So we can craft a fluid trash can, and we can just automatically send the water out to the top side here. So we want fluid auto output to the top, and that should trash the water, perfect. And now we have a fully automatic system for aluminium dust. We just need to have a storage bus on this as well. Oh man, those pumps look so good. I don't mean to like toot my own horn here, but I just like, especially the MV one. Like, I just think they came out so nice. I do miss the orange color for MV, but I did base it on the fact that aluminium is blue, so that yeah, you have like the blue association with MV, which kind of makes a lot more sense. Everything is a lot more color coded in gregtech Modern, so I tried to keep it that way with TMGT. So yeah, we're gonna have our storage bus on the storage controller, again bi-directional, high priority, and connect it up to AE. I also found a few days ago that, where is it, our network tool here, apparently these ME conduits, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but ME conduits actually take passive power on the AE system, same as like a crafting terminal or an interface, for example. Like, all of these cost power to just have active and online. And we're using 75 RF a tick for all of the conduit in the base, so I might switch it out where we can with, well, I don't know, there is some other solutions perhaps, but I might look at switching out all of the conduit altogether. I don't know if the convenience of conduits outweighs the negatives of the power draw. I don't know yet, but we're also going to have void upgrades on the lithium, the silicon, and the sodium, since we don't want this to stop when these drawers fill, only when the aluminium drawers fill. And in fact, I might even also add some storage upgrades as well. Yeah, we'll add like a couple of diamond upgrades. That takes the capacity to 1.2 million. So it's basically free anyway, right? All it costs us is power to run the system and time. So yeah, we'll let the buffer fill up, and that should give us plenty of aluminium for the blast furnaces here. So now the other two materials we need is vibrant alloy and energetic alloy. So energetic alloy is made from mixing glowstone dust, redstone dust, and gold dust. And vibrant alloy is made from mixing the energetic with ender pearl dust, I believe. Yeah, so we're going to have to set up two mixers, one for the energetic and one for the vibrant. But we'll also have to set up production of glowstone dust, of redstone dust, and of gold dust. And so we're making that, of course, from not HNN. Yeah. Our witch model can make us both redstone and glowstone. And we actually have over 1,000 witch prediction. So I think it's time that we switch out some of the data models that we have here, because we're currently capped. We're running 10 right now, simulation chambers, which is the maximum we can currently sustain with this pulsating prediction matrix automation. I nearly said pulsating polymer clay. Pulsating prediction matrix automation. It's the maximum we can sustain with this speed of machines. So we can't really go with any more simulation chambers at the moment. I did make a few more data models between episodes and I switched it out, although it's probably been too much time since I adjusted these, so I'm going to make a couple of adjustments here. Yeah, so the new setup we're going to have here is 2 shulkers. We're going to run 2 fresh endermen. These are all fresh data models, and the reason you want to switch them out, the reason you want to have fresh data models, blaze, skeleton, ghast, spider, and guardian. Oh, we already had a slime in there. Yeah, so you want to switch out your data models periodically, since the more iterations run in the simulation chamber, the higher the tier of the data model. And so they start off at basic with about a 5% chance at a pristine. But once they reach self-aware, that goes up to like 30%, I think it is. So we want to make sure that we can have as many self-aware models as we can. And so we want to be efficient with our time and keep switching them out. It's not going to be perfect. I always forget about this and leave them in too long. But wherever you can, you want to try to get some fresh models in there, just so you have a backlog of self-aware. Just in case that, for example, we run out of diamonds, we already have some self-aware shulkers here ready to go. This one here is still superior. That needs a bit more time, but it's fine. And yeah, these are all self-aware, nearly, apart from the Guardian. But yeah, that's fine. So I also went ahead and made some more loot fabricators with filters. So we have one filtered for Guardian, which will produce us gold. You might notice here that the Guardian can also make us aluminium dust directly. And it is just a judgment call. If you want to make aluminium dust this way, then go for it. In fact, we might switch to this way later on. But as you saw, we're kind of strapped for the amount of simulation chambers that we can afford to run. So I would rather use our power and make the super cheap aluminium dust via electrolysis rather than wasting Guardian data, which we do need for gold. So the Guardian prediction is going to make us gold, the Witch Matter is going to make us redstone, and again, Witch Matter will also make us glowstone. I've seen some of you comment that you can have multiple predictions in the same loot fabricator, unlike 1.12. So this is actually a good tip for the early game. Let's say you're making like spider prediction and ghast. You can actually set the loot fabricator for example, silver, and then take it out of here and then give it spider, and it will automatically set it to copper if you set it beforehand, and it will remember what you set it as. So you can do like a little, well, even a fully automatic system with just the one loot fabricator, but I just prefer to have one for each resource. It makes it easier to scale in the future. So yeah, we'll just continue to do one per resource type, and we'll give each resource their own drawer as well. And we'll have to make sure these are linked. I don't think they're linked to the controller. But in any case, this should give us access to the materials we need for energetic alloy and vibrant alloy. Yeah, we're going to have a macerator and also those 2 mixers. So it looks like the minimum tier is LV, and it's 7 seconds at LV for 4. So I think we're safe just to do LV. Some people have asked me, like, how do you decide on a machine tier when you can do multiple and overclock? But honestly, it's just on a case-by-case basis. You just have to judge whether or not it's going to be fast enough. So, like, for example, this takes, without any boosts or overclocks, it takes us 20 seconds to cook the ingot. And we're going to be making from an LV mixer 4 every 7 seconds. So it's going to be way more than enough to do it at LV, the minimum tier. And for gold dust, the maceration recipe is, we want it from ingots, 9.8 seconds. So we might, well, no, we can do this at LV as well. We can also make an LV macerator. Yeah, so a macerator and 2 mixers, and we'll also want a converter as well. So we do have a converter behind here, but this is a 4 amp converter, so it only handles 1, 2, 3, 4 machines. Kind of, and so I think we'll just make another 4 amp LV converter here. We're missing a bit of cable here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm afraid this is gonna be a bit spaghetti. This might end up changing positions, because we're gonna need a passive wall for alloys, other alloys, things like steel dust. Yeah, things like steel dust, things like bronze, things like copper nickel, red alloy. We need to make all those well, I want to make all those passively, since you know what the motto is, passive everything. So we need a space for that. So I think it might be shifted from here, because basically we need a space for the output, right, from the machine. We need the machine itself. We need power from probably the backside. I'm just going to do this for now. This is probably going to change positions. I might move it off camera. Yeah, so we need to have power in the back, space for output, a space for the laser to receive the items from an interface somewhere, which is probably going to be in the back here, or maybe just here. I mean, it doesn't really look too bad, but we want kind of a uniform setup. So yeah, I'm gonna move this. I do have our macerator right here, which also needs a laser. Yeah, I think I've just talked myself into moving this. There's no point in setting this up right here. I do want to move it. You pretty much know how it's going to be, right? We're just going to send some filters from Laser IO. Yeah, configure all the machines, set the output, send all into a drawer network, and have a storage bus on the back. However, in the meantime, I do want to have a look at some of the things that we started last episode. So, using some of the ruby that we had, that we started to process last time, I don't know if you'll remember that. We processed a bunch of it, and I did mix all of that, or a lot of it, into Canthal. I think it was 6 stacks of Canthal I made up in total, which is all sitting in this EBF right here, ready to be smelted. Until I realized that Canthal needs a minimum tier of high voltage to cook the ingot. So this one, as we saw, is running at medium voltage, 2 LV energy hatches. And the ones up here are only running at medium voltage as well, with the single MV energy hatch. So we're going to have to craft... Well, we can't craft our HV energy hatch right now. So until we can do so, we have to make use of 2 MV energy hatches to overclock. So these aren't too difficult to make. Medium voltage coils is just aluminium and steel. And the ULPIC is just made from our cutting machine, which we looked at last time. And the laser engraver. It's pretty much just a different color lens. So for the moment, what I'm going to do is just have another energy hatch on the end here. This is just temporary. Just to cook up some Canthal so that we could get our coils. We're not going to have enough amperage to run all 4 blast furnaces if we keep this on the end, since we're only supplying 8 amps with this 8 amp energy converter, right? So it's 2, 4, 6, 8 amps here. They're all going to be used, so we have to keep one of them at least off to power both of these energy hatches. But yeah, just for the moment, we're going to have circuit number 1. We're going to give it Canthal, and we're going to let these Canthal ingots cook. I'm going to work out a situation for this mixer and macerator and our future alloy recipes on passive. We need a location in the base for that, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to be. So yeah, the reason I want to get the Canthal cooking right now is because we're going to need it for the next tier of coil blocks. So the next set of EBFs on this side will be Canthal, and eventually we'll overclock these ones as well. We'll talk about some of the benefits of switching coils because there are a few. But we need our Canthal in order to cook silicon, which we'll need for progression here. So yeah, as you can see here, this is minimum tier of Canthal. And yeah, we want another EBF for silicon on passive. So a few things to do here. I'll see you guys probably in a while. A very long while. I've got some grinding to do here. Oh yeah, that was fun, and I'm sorry. I don't know why I didn't test this before, but we don't need the barrels here, we don't need the intermediate storage. All you have to do is point the LV bus, or the input bus, away from the laser node, and it prevents the item card from being taken. So maybe some of you guys were screaming at your monitor earlier on. I'm sorry. But we do have 4 more blast furnaces. Well, yeah, the shell for 4 more blast furnaces here. Just as a side note, I also, oh wow, we've already got a full drawer here. I put a fluid solidifier here for polyethylene, so we just have a pump on the drum, which pulls the polyethylene into here, and fluid solidifies it into polyethylene sheets, which we'll need later on for various items, such as our blank patterns for auto crafting. Among other things, I think we can make super tanks with those as well if we make them into pipe. However, I did pick a spot for our passive automations up here. So going down the line here, we have an LV side. All these machines here are LV, and these ones here are medium voltage. So we have our energetic alloy mixing glowstone, redstone, and gold dust. We have our vibrant alloy mixing energetic and ender pearl. And for all of these, by the way, we just have the item card and the counting item filter. And then behind the setup, we have the interface, a converter, drawer controller with a storage bus, although we don't have a drawer controller on this side. I forgot about that. I'll have to add one of those. But yeah, we just have our interface supplying all the items. So next machine is a macerator for gold dust. We have a macerator for ender pearls, for ender pearl dust. This one is downgraded though, so we have a downgrade which takes it down to maximum 1 stack. And then we have a copper upgrade, which then increases it to 512. Since the default on the drawer is 2048, so you have to downgrade it once and then upgrade to get anything less than 2048. So that's how we're doing that. And then we also have charcoal dust. Next to that, we have a furnace cooking our rubber logs, which we're farming from the phytogenic insulator downstairs. That's making us charcoal, and it's being converted into dust via this macerator. It's kind of slow, but so this might switch to an MV machine. It depends how fast we need steel. But next to that, we have wrought iron. And then I'm going to skip these two for a second. This one is medium voltage, and this is doing our charcoal dust plus iron to give us steel ingots. So this is a very, very important one. I have a copper upgrade on this. Steel is the LV component, so we now have the medium voltage one with aluminium, and we now have the LV one. Next one is going to be stainless steel, which is going to be what this mixer is going to be for, and we're going to place it right here. Yeah, I initially started with a 4 amp energy converter here, but I switched it to 16 amp. And same for this side, we have another 16 amp MV converter on this side. There's also something here I think it's worth pointing out. So for each one of these processes, we are pulling every item from Applied Energistics, and we are not passing any item between the machines. So for example, the gold dust here is not being passed from the macerator into the mixer. It's instead going into a drawer as its own buffer, and then that's being exposed by the storage bus, and then we're pulling it again into the interface, and then via the laser into the machine. And this way the mixer for energetic alloy has access to all the gold dust in our system, not just the one being macerated here. So later on, for example, when we have ore processing set up, we are going to be making gold dust directly, and that means we don't have to crush any of the ingots. So because this is on a higher priority, it's going to use this one last, and use the one from ore processing first, which is why we're taking all the items directly from Applied Energistics and not passing them between the machines. I hope that explanation made sense to you guys. It makes sense to me. So yeah, the next machines we skipped over is the mixer for arsenic plus gallium, and this should give us gallium arsenide dust. So we need circuit number 1 here. Yes, and I have a downgrade, so it only keeps 1 stack. And then we have a packager, or a packer, which downcrafts it into small piles of gallium arsenide. We just have to set the drawer. Again, we have a downgrade on this, so it only keeps 64. And set the drawer for gallium arsenide. And this is, the gallium arsenide is going to be used in combination with silicon dust. I have it already filtered in here. So silicon dust plus gallium arsenide gives us our monocrystalline silicon boule. This is MV, cupronickel, and circuit number 2. So we will switch over once all the canthal finishes. It's not quite finished cooking yet. I also did, of course, set up our filters for vibrant alloy. So this one is vibrant alloy. This one is for energetic. And this one is still our aluminium dust. So earlier in the episode, I did mention that there was 2 things we wanted to do with our aluminium. The first was to actually make aluminium dust, which of course we're now doing, and we have 3,600, or 3,565. I don't know why this is inaccurate. I guess it rounds up. But yeah, you can see on the jade tooltip there in the top the real amount in the drawer. So we now have our aluminium. The second thing I said we wanted to do was limit the amount that it smelts so that we keep some of the dust, which means we have to turn the blast furnace off above a certain amount of aluminium ingots. And so to do that, we can use something called the level emitter, which is a way of activating a redstone signal based on the amount of storage in an Applied Energistics system. However, we do need stainless steel for this. So let's have a look at our quest here and see how we get stainless steel dust. Stainless steel will be your primary material for HV, so it's similar to aluminium. We make our machine casings and stuff like that in high voltage with stainless steel. In the same way that we just read that. Manganese comes from electrolyzing tantalite. Okay, so the recipe for stainless steel is, I'm assuming, the same in every version of gregtech. Yes. Yes, okay, I didn't actually look at this, I'm just assuming, and I'm glad I was correct. So it's iron dust, which we're now making over here in this macerator. So we have a passive source of iron dust. Let's set the drawer. Yeah, so iron dust, we need manganese dust, which comes from electrolyzing tantalite, pyrolusite, spessartine, and you already have chrome. Yeah, so those 3 things are ores, and as far as I'm aware, you cannot buy them. At least I'm wrong. I guess I didn't check spessartine, but you can't buy pyrolusite, which is what I normally use for manganese. Okay then, well, let's buy a bunch of spessartine. That's all the coins we have apparently. We can make some more from the pennies, and we can probably claim some quest rewards. Let's do it. Oh, we got a bunch of stuff here. Oh no. Wait, we got the hammers again? I did just update the pack again, so I think they were messing around with some of the quests, which is good. So I think some of our quests got reset. Well, not reset, but they got changed, so we got the reward again for this one. Yeah, to be honest, there's been lots and lots of pack changes, which is really good to see. Lots of fixes and updates. It's really awesome. This is still in development, and I think I've mentioned it's in beta, right? You've probably noticed it's in beta, especially Ender IO. Oh, Ender IO. I missed the Ender IO from 1.12. Anyway, let's do like 3 stacks to start off with of spessartine. And do we want to crush this? I guess we probably do, right? Yeah, it might take a second, but I'm gonna put it all through a macerator just to get the extra yield. So we have a lot of manganese going forward. We'll need a lot of stainless steel. So yeah, let's see. The other thing for stainless steel is chromium, which we get from ruby. We should still have some of that left. Let's check how much chromium we have. Yeah, 99, and we have, I think, some ruby left unprocessed as well. So I'll get all that processed eventually. And of course, it will be fully automatic at some point. But yeah, let's go ahead and set our mixer. So we want to have another item card, another counting filter, and we'll just say 64 iron dust. We'll say 16 chromium, since that's a bit more precious. We'll say our manganese. We'll just do 64. We'll just keep a big buffer in here. Well, actually, in this version, it's used in a few things I can see here. I noticed all of the GT++, well, they're not GT++ anymore, but all of the alloys, the annoying alloys, which I'm assuming we need for various multi-blocks later on. It doesn't really matter. We'll keep it at like 24. It's like an arbitrary amount anyway. And then, yeah, the last thing is nickel dust. So we need to grab nickel dust as well. And this we'll just do a full stack of. So nickel, we're not making nickel anywhere. Eventually we'll have our ore processing system to give us nickel. You know what? I actually didn't check. Can we make nickel from DML? Yes, we can. We can make it from our slime. DML. I said it again. I'm not. I promise I'm not trolling you guys. It's just hardwired into my brain. Yeah, we have some slime prediction here. So we can set up another loot fabricator here and filter in our slime to give us nickel. We can make also platinum this way, which I think is going to be worthwhile. We'll set that up at a later stage though. We're kind of short on energetic alloy to make any more of these fabricators. But let's give it a drawer. Now that we have passive nickel, we do need passive nickel dust though, so let's also get a macerator. That's not a laser. Another item card, another filter, another ingot. We have hundreds of these to set up, just like so, and request nickel in the interface. Like that. Oops. Mute the machine. Set automatic output. Nickel dust goes in the drawer. I'm just going to leave this at a... well... now let's downgrade it for now, since I want to keep some of the slime prediction. Yeah, we'll put a downgrade on it. Do we have... yeah, we have some of these. We'll just keep a stack of nickel for the moment. Or, I mean, a stack of nickel dust. So now we should have everything once our manganese processes for stainless steel. Yeah, I did set everything here. We just need to make sure we request it all in the interface back here. Nice, and that is going to get circuit number 3 in the mixer. I'll have to also add the storage bus on the back with the drawer controller. Nice, and for now at least, I noticed that we have some manganese. I presume this came from, in fact, I know it came from the Lost Cities chests. You can find manganese ingots, so we have 12 here. I'm just going to macerate some of those while our spessartine finishes. And that should start our mixer once we connect the lasers together. Oh, not if you request stainless steel and not... this is supposed to be iron dust here, not stainless steel dust. I was wondering why the mixer wasn't getting full. I guess I just dragged the wrong item. Now it should start to cook, right? Once it has 6 iron dust, I think. Yes, perfect. Stainless steel. We're not going to downgrade this. We want to make as much stainless steel as we can manage. It's quite a long recipe as well. It's 30 seconds, but you do get 9 for every recipe. Let's set the drawer, and now we have access to stainless steel dust. We can set our blast furnace. So this is also required at high voltage, so we need to double up our energy hatches once again. So I've made another 8 amp MV energy converter. We're going to repurpose this later on, because this will eventually be all HV once we can craft our high voltage energy hatches. But at least for the moment, this is how we'll do it. So we're going to have another, yeah, 8 amp cable, and then we'll just do another 2 energy hatches right here. I think I have them crafted. So 1 and 2. Now we should have some power. Yes, perfect. So now we need our coil blocks. As you saw, we don't have enough Canthal smelted for the full array, but I did account... we should have enough once it's all smelted to get all of the coils at Canthal. But for now, we should have at least enough for a couple of blast furnaces. So I was melting down some liquid copper. And I also crafted some aluminium foil. There's our quest for Canthal. And we need to turn all of our Canthal into 2x wire. So let's throw it all through the wire mill. Circuit number 2, yes. And so now in our assembler, we can do our liquid copper. I know we should have used drums for this. I just had one of these available. Aluminium foil and 2x Canthal wire. It's also quite slow to do it this way, but I'm still going to throw our spessartine through our thermal centrifuge. And this way it gives us a 33.33% chance at an extra manganese dust. So it just maximizes our chances at some extra byproducts, which is not always worth it, and arguably not worth it here when we can just use coins, but we don't need our stainless steel right this second. We just need a little bit, which our manganese here should have given us. Yeah, like we were able to mix 108 from that, which is plenty for our level emitters today. So let's talk about the coil blocks for a second. In CEU, using higher tier coils provides some bonuses to the multi-blocks. Not just for the blast furnace, but for the blast furnace, running recipes hotter than required can reduce the energy cost and time taken. The temperature of the EBF depends on the coil used and the voltage it's running at. For Canthal coils, this means recipes you could run with cupronickel coils will save 5% energy. So what that means is, even if we keep these at medium voltage, we're going to save 5% energy if we were to switch these cupronickel coils and smelt aluminium with Canthal, which is probably not worth it. We'll probably wait until the next tier after Canthal and then switch them out with that. Since also for the blast furnace, yeah, for every 900 Kelvin above the recipe temperature, a multiplicative 95% energy multiplier is applied, pre-overclocking, and for every 1800 Kelvin above the recipe temperature, it becomes 100% efficient, and every voltage tier above MV, the temperature is increased by 100 Kelvin. So that means that we could technically skip some coil requirements for certain materials, since remember it takes a minimum coil temperature, and the coil temperature is determined by the coils themselves. So like we start with cupronickel at a base heat capacity of 1800 Kelvin, and then it goes up to 2700 with Canthal, so you can smelt recipes requiring 2700. But yeah, with the overclocks it does increase it by 100. So yeah, I'm not sure in practice how useful that is. We might be able to skip some recipe or some coils here or there. I'm not sure, to be honest, in this progression. However, at this point, we do now have 29 Canthal coils, which is enough for 2 blast furnaces and a tiny bit more. The first one, since it's running high voltage, we have our double MV energy hatches on it, is going to be for our stainless steel. So let's set our filter here for like 32 stainless steel. Request it in the interface. And this one, similar to all the other recipes, we can use nitrogen. We will switch to nitrogen eventually, once we have a stable source of nitrogen. And we can share the nitrogen hatches between them, so we can place our fluid inputs like here, for example, and here. And that would be able to be used by these 2 blast furnaces and these 2 blast furnaces for this one. But for now, we're just going to use the default inefficient recipe circuit number 2. I think all we need to do now is switch it on and do the maintenance. Yeah, I didn't do maintenance yet. Uh-oh, something ain't right. I'd done the maintenance. It's switched on, right? Yeah, it's switched on. We have our inputs. Oh, this is going to be extremely obvious. What did I do? Did I not plug in one of the energy hatches, or... no, they both have power. Is it perhaps because I'm using ULV buses? ULV buses only have the single slot, whereas LV buses have 4. Does it really require an LV bus for a blast furnace? Let's find out. Output bus as well, maybe? It does form the multi-block. Oh my goodness, I figured it out. I just realized we're of course we're doing circuit number 2, and I just looked at this and talked about the nitrogen. It's circuit 1 we want without nitrogen. Now it should that was extremely Oh wait, they're almost the same color. Whatever. We're now cooking stainless steel. 55 seconds for 1 ingot. And we don't need a freezer for this, right? No, we get the straight ingots. Perfect. Wait, just for science, I do want to test these ULV buses again, just to make sure that they can be used this way. Yes, okay, you can use ULV buses. Okay, that makes sense. And with that, we have now officially entered... yes, we have. We have now officially entered, according to the quest book, high voltage. We have our high voltage trophy. Although technically I wouldn't say we're in high voltage yet, but I don't know, maybe I'll put that as the title. I don't know, we'll see. We have another trophy though to add to our collection. We'll probably need a trophy room. We're going to get a few of these, and they're not all going to fit up here, so I don't know where our trophy room is going to be. The first stainless steel is going to be made into rods, and now we can craft our level emitters with redstone torches, aluminium plates, and calculation processors. And we also need some machine controllers, which is a cover, different to the actual machine controllers. So I made up 2 stacks. They're very, very cheap. It just costs some soldering alloy, some iron plates, and some levers. We'll be using these a lot. So I'm aware of the length of this video by now, but just to finish off here, we're going to set up our level emitters. Some of you guys, well, most of you guys will know how this works already, but the level emitter, as I said earlier, allows you to emit a redstone signal based on the storage amount in the connected applied energistics network. Hold on, let me just make sure I did in fact plug these in. I did not. They're connected together, we just don't have access to the main system. Alright, so the device is now online. We want to configure this for aluminium. We're at the first blast furnace here, so we want aluminium ingots, not the dust. So the finished product, we want to set this for our aluminium ingots, and let's say when we're how much aluminium do we want to stock? Let's say 5,000 aluminium. You know what? Let's go for 20,000 aluminium. Yeah, let's say we want to keep 20,000 aluminium in our system at all times. So the blast furnace is going to continually run so long as it has aluminium dust, which it should because of our automatic system, until it reaches 20,000, and then it will stop and buffer the dust. So this will output a redstone signal whenever we are below 20,000. We want to invert this, and then we also want our machine controller on the same side that the redstone signal is pointing into, and then I think it's the screwdriver, at least it used to be. So now we want, I'm assuming this is signal strength. This is a bit of a different GUI to other versions of 82, but yeah, we want, it doesn't matter of the signal strength. This should output a strong redstone signal no matter what. So we can leave this as is. We want to control the machine. Wait, this is on the machine controller cover, yeah. We want to control the machine. It's not 82, it's gregtech. And we also want to invert this as well. And you guys know the golden rule, or one of the golden rules, redstone on, machine on. So whenever the redstone is on, we want the machine to turn on. So whenever we're below 20,000 aluminium, it's going to send a redstone signal, and when it receives a redstone signal, because it's inverted, the blast furnace will turn on until we reach our threshold amount of 20,000, and then it will stop. And we want to do that for every single blast furnace here, so we want to give them all level emitters. We have just enough here. And we want to give them all machine controllers, invert them all, and now we need to decide on some numbers. So the second one was energetic alloy, right? So this one, we need to be a bit more careful with, because to make a vibrant alloy, we need to mix our energetic alloy dust. So it takes one to make the other. It takes this one to make this one. So I think for this one, we're going to set for 4,000, 5,000. Yeah, we'll say 5,000 energetic. We'll say 5,000 vibrant. That's also going to use a lot of ender pearls, but I'm hoping it's going to be our supply of ender pearls is going to be sufficient enough with the Enderman data models, right? Yeah, so 5,000, 5,000, 20,000. This one here is our, well, for now it's Canthal, but it will eventually be our monocrystalline silicon Boule. Actually, I'm going to come back to this one. We'll have a look at this next episode, because there's, yeah, there's some extra things I want to do with the Boule, because it only has one use. It has to go through a cutting machine. So I'll just let all the Canthal finish for now. This one here is our stainless steel, which we're going to set for 10,000. Again, stainless steel dust is used for other things such as HSS, high-speed steel. And then this one on the end here is going to be for our silicon ingots. So we need to set our filters, silicon dust. I believe it's just silicon dust, right? Nothing else. Silicon dust circuit number 1. Just need to set the input filter here as well. Invalid structure. Did I miss the energy hatch? I think I did. I did craft it though, I just didn't place it down for some reason. Alright, there we go. It's cooking already. So this one we're going to set for... yeah, it's silicon. What do we want to set this for? Silicon is used for the upgraded Boules, but for now what we'll be using it for is transistors from silicon plates. And silicon is basically free. It's, remember, one of the other things we're making in this system. So I might actually upgrade the drawer here as well. In fact, I definitely will. So we're getting silicon dust for free here. So yeah, I'm just going to set a like 10,000 limit on silicon. And that should be good. So we might have to adjust these numbers and also watch out for power, because now we're drawing a lot more power. Remember that we have 2 HV blast furnaces running at the moment, plus all our passive machines. And if I remember right, we're still only on 3 dynamos. Wow. The power of the numismatics. Okay, this one is at 100% capacity. This one still has 50%. Okay, so we're almost capped on power. We'll need to start to plug these in, which means a drain on more diamonds, but we should be good. We should be okay for a while longer at least. However, with that, I think it's a good time to wrap up the episode. We made passive aluminium. We got fully passive blast furnaces. We made a start on many of the essential alloys and ingots, such as steel and wrought iron. They're now fully passive. In fact, we have 1,400 steel already, which is excellent. I'm going to process a bunch more of our spessartine in order to make our stainless steel and let that cook between episodes. And I think for sure we can get into our auto crafting patterns next time, make some HV circuits, and break into the mid game. But from me for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Monifactory.